Over 80% of program directors cited the personal statement as a critical factor in selecting applicants to interview. But the problem is that we often rush through our personal statement. We often undervalue its impact in our application. And what is even worse is sometimes we just copy-paste our CVs into our personal statements. In this video, we're going to go through what this personal statement is about and how to go about writing a personal statement that makes you unforgettable. At the end of this video, you should have a rough draft of your personal statement that you can build upon and eventually turn into something that is unforgettable. So what I want you to do is pause this video, get a pen, get a paper, and let's get to it. Hi, my name is Endurance. I'm an internal medicine resident and chief resident. I start my cardiology fellowship in the next few weeks. Okay, so what is the personal statement? Essentially, the personal statement is a one-page documentation of your journey. It tells us who you are and the highlights that have brought you to this moment. It is not your CV, not a list of achievements. It is not a vague childhood story. It is a storyline that captures all your qualities and makes a promise for the future. And one of the problems that I see that most people have, including myself, was how do I start writing my personal statement? So what we'll do is we'll break it down into paragraphs. Assign each paragraph a certain role, and that is how I want you to think about it. Paragraph after paragraph, each having a specific role, but each of them being interrelated. So paragraph 1, the hook. And in this paragraph, you are trying to essentially hook your audience. You're trying to make whoever is reading your story stop and be like, whoa, let me take a look at this story. Your duty in this paragraph is to open a very vivid scenario, something that happened in your past, something that you can relate with and have other people be interested in. The point of this paragraph is to 1, evoke curiosity, and 2, evoke an emotion. Try to get your audience pay close attention. Because don't forget, people going through our personal statement spend about 2 to 3 minutes. So in the first few seconds, you want to get their attention. Instead of saying something like, I've always wanted to be a doctor since I was a child, you will say, the ER bay was silent, except for the quiet hum of an oxygen concentrator. A man in his 70s, pale and confused, reached for my hand. I wasn't part of the care team yet, just a shadowing medical student. But in that instant, I became his translator, his advocate, his calm. That moment wasn't dramatic, but it made something clear. Medicine isn't just about answers, it's about presence. Or, if you are applying for fellowship, you could tweak it in a way like this. There's something haunting about the silence that follows a failed resuscitation. That night, I stood beside the cardiology fellow as he calmly debriefed the team. He didn't just know the medicine, he led the moment. I realized then, mastery isn't just technical. It's the ability to bring order to clinical chaos and dignity to its aftermath. And what you are doing here is you are opening with a very vivid statement that your reader can immerse themselves in. Something that your reader will remember. So that is exactly what you want to do in paragraph 1. And for those of you who like content like this, hit the like and subscribe button. Okay, so let's go to paragraph 2. In this paragraph, we are talking about your turning points. Why you've chosen this profession. Why have you chosen medicine? Why have you chosen cardiology? What is the reason behind your motivation? And again, you also want to use a story to describe your why. We're going to go through all the paragraphs, but what is pertinent, what is constant through all paragraphs is that you have to use a story to describe your strengths. Whatever it is you want to convey, you use a story. So in paragraph 2, while telling us your why, instead of saying, my mother was sick and that made me want to become a doctor, you say, I realized medicine could be both science and sanctuary the first time I saw a resident hold a patient's hand before surgery. That balance, precision and presence became my North Star. Or for those of us applying for fellowship, you say something like, during my cardiology elective, I watched a fellow pause mid-procedure to explain to a patient's daughter what was happening. With empathy, not ego. That was the first time I saw the power of technical skill matched with communication. I knew then this was just not my interest, this was my lane. In this paragraph, you are telling them the reason behind your why, and you're trying to get your audience feel connected to this reason. And then you move to paragraph 3, which is the journey. In this paragraph, you are talking about the story behind the scenes, the story behind your wins and the lessons from your setbacks. Instead of saying, I published 3 papers and was awarded teaching award, you'll say, when I landed my first publication, no one saw the 14 rejections before it, or the countless hours learning R on weekends because no one else could help me code my data. Or for those of us applying to fellowship, you'll say something like, during my interviews, they praised my research, but I remembered the rejection I got from my first poster abstract submission and the long nights building a data set alone after clinic hours. Every success and every setback has a behind the scenes story. This is where you capture yours. Paragraph 3, the journey. And then you move on to paragraph 4, the clarity. And in this paragraph, you are telling us that all your previous experiences has made your vision so clear and you are so sure about this specialty or this profession that you're choosing. Trying to justify why you are choosing this specialty, why you are choosing this profession. You're trying to articulate and tell us that all your experiences has made it so clear to you now that this is what you want to do. You want to show how your experiences tie in to this profession and this subspecialty, whatever it is you are applying to. This is what you are doing in your paragraph 4. So instead of saying I chose internal medicine because I love physiology and it was stimulating, you would say it was 3 a.m. I was pre-rounding in the ICU. The cardiologist came in, calm, decisive, human. One echo changed the entire trajectory of the case. In that moment, I didn't just want to observe outcomes. I wanted to shape them. Or for those of us applying to the fellowship, you could say something like, it was clinic day on my geriatrics rotation. The attending took 40 minutes to explain what polypharmacy was to the family members and somehow never made them feel rushed or dumb. That level of patience and communication made me realize that this is the kind of medicine I want to practice. You want to keep your clarity very real. It doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't have to be complicated. Be as real, as succinct as possible. Okay, so when you're done with paragraph 4, and then you move on to your last paragraph, the fits. And in this paragraph, you are basically telling them why they should choose you and why you are choosing them and your plans for the future. But instead of saying, I'm interested in your program because of research opportunities and clinical complexities, you'll say, at my community program, I learned resourcefulness. In your program, I want to learn leadership, the kind that improves systems, not just solve problems. Long term, I hope to build training pipelines for IMGs, lead multi-center research efforts, and stay rooted in clinical excellence. Of a fellowship application, you say something like, having worked in underserved clinics, I am eager to train at a program that not only values clinical rigor, but also community impact. In the future, I want to merge fellowship training with global cardiology initiatives that focus on access and equity. And this is important because your future matters. Most programs do not just want to train applicants. They want to train leaders. They want to see that you have an idea of what your future is about. And that is very attractive for most programs. So that is how you approach your personal statement. I had a mentee who had approached me because she was having issues in her application. Among the problems was her personal statement. It was grammatically correct, but there was a lot of problems in the way she communicated her achievements. So we adopted this same approach and she was able to get a lot of interviews and eventually match into programs. And during her interview process, her interviewers had referenced her personal statement. So this is something you have to be cognizant of while writing your personal statement. When you are done with writing your personal statement, ensure to look for grammatical errors. When you've corrected for grammar, then you give it to 2-3 people so they could go through it and have them give you constructive feedback. And before you submit it, finally, you have to ask yourself a couple of questions. Number 1, did I open with a vivid scene? Number 2, is my story specific or could someone else use that same story? Number 3, have I shown my growth and my struggles? Number 4, does my specialty feel earned and not just mentioned? And number 5, is my closing remark forward-looking? By having all this checklist, you will be able to come up with a personal statement that is fantastic and memorable. Put a link in the comment sections down below. I have my personal statement for free and templates for free. You could click, you could download it. Also like and follow this channel for more. And if you're interested in finding out ways to optimize your application process, you can check out my other videos. See you next time.